in accordance with the Constitution and relevant laws. On 11 December 2025, the Bangladesh Election Commission officially announced the election schedule. A total of 2,028 candidates are contesting across 29 constituencies in the forthcoming parliamentary elections. From the outset, the Commission has worked with a strong sense of constitutional responsibility.
Next level, well done, side by side, free.
To ensure that the entire electoral process is free, fair, impartial, and credible. Our preparations have followed a coordinated and multidimensional approach, encompassing legal reforms, institutional readiness, stakeholder consultations, and operational planning. Structured dialogue was maintained with political parties, civil society, and other stakeholders to strengthen confidence, participation, and mutual trust. Amendments to electoral laws and regulations were undertaken where necessary to enhance clarity, accountability, and compliance. Special emphasis was placed on voter registration. Through a nationwide voter list update, approximately 4.5 million new voters have been enrolled, including 2.7 million women, bringing the total number of registered voters to over 127 million with a high level of data accuracy. This effort was supported by our development partners, including United Nations organizations. For the first time, the Commission has introduced out-of-country voting through IT-supported postal ballots for Bangladesh diaspora voters. Despite a limited preparation and outreach period, the response has been encouraging, with approximately 0.8 million expatriate voters completing registration. At the same time, in-country postal voting has been undertaken for eligible categories of voters. For your kind information, a significant number of marked ballots have already been successfully returned through the postal system. All operational arrangements have been finalized, ensuring readiness for election day, that is tomorrow. Polling centers lists were finalized following multiple rounds of field-level verification. All electoral materials, including ballot papers, have already been distributed to the returning officers in respective constituencies and are currently being distributed polling center-wise. Training programs for polling personnel have been conducted nationwide to ensure professionalism and strict adherence to electoral procedures. Public awareness activities related to voter participation are being conducted nationwide in coordination with relevant government departments. Ladies and gentlemen, by now, you may already know that both today and tomorrow have been declared government holidays to facilitate voter participation. Voting will take place in a single day, beginning at 7:30 in the morning and concluding at 4:30 in the afternoon. Presiding officers, assisted by assistant presiding officers and polling officers, will manage polling operations and counting at the polling stations in the presence of candidates or their authorized agents, as well as accredited observers and journalists. After the close of polling, counting will be conducted at the polling stations under the supervision of the presiding officers. Results will be announced at the polling stations upon completion of counting and subsequently compiled and publicly declared by the returning officers. Thus, transparency in the voting and counting process will be ensured. Voters, irrespective of gender, age, or background, are encouraged to participate freely. Ballots are issued only after proper identification, and voting is conducted in secrecy in accordance with the prescribed rules. Any electoral dispute will be addressed strictly in accordance with established legal and constitutional procedures. Transparency remains a cornerstone of our election management. For this election, representatives from 45 countries and organizations, including election management bodies and international institutions, are participating. More than 60 officials, approximately 330 international observers, are engaged in the electoral process, including nearly 220 from the European Union. In addition, more than 160 international journalists are independently covering the election. Domestically, over 45,000 observers from 81 registered organizations and more than 60,000 journalists are expected to be accredited. All accreditation processes are following due diligence. Relevant government officials and institutional representatives are also engaged to ensure effective coordination. The Commission has constantly ensured that media personnel are granted access to polling stations while maintaining the confidentiality of the voting compartment so that voters are not inconvenienced. Observers, both domestic and international, are always welcome to observe the process in accordance with the Commission's guidelines and may make their findings public after the election. From the very first day of our journey, we have prioritized transparency. Journalists serve as a vital lens through which deviations, if any, can be identified. In this manner, your engagement is profoundly meaningful for ensuring the highest level of clarity and public confidence in this election. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, as we approach the election day, that is tomorrow, I wish to reaffirm the Election Commission's unwavering commitment to delivering a peaceful, credible, and participatory election. Comprehensive security and coordination arrangements are in place with support of law enforcement agencies and the government of Bangladesh. A detailed briefing on these relevant areas will be provided by my colleague, Brigadier General Sanaullah, later after my remarks. On a closing note, kindly allow me to express our appreciation for your professionalism, objectivity, and constructive engagement. I trust that your observations and reporting will contribute meaningfully to transparency and democratic confidence. Thank you all, and I wish you a productive engagement over the coming days.